Hello and welcome to another edition of Meet the Pros. My name is Chris McKenna, Product Application Specialist for Large Wheel Loaders and Wheel Dozers. With me today is Kent Clifton, Senior Market Professional for Service Mining. Today we would like to discuss with you a bit about the wheel dozers and their application in the mine, how it can improve efficiency and lower your costs. Kent, with the wheel dozer product, tell us a little bit about it and its application in the mine.
Yeah, so you really look to take advantage of its versatility. So you look at areas like truck dumps, safety berms, haul road maintenance, a little bit of brush up work. And one of the areas that they really deliver a lot of value is when they're working with like hydraulic mining shovels, hydraulic backhoes, electric rope shovels, to just make that process more efficient.
Some of the aspects of the wheel dozers relative to its design that we do is in the structures and how it's applicable and common with our wheel loaders. Now with that, the front end of the machine is specific to the wheel dozer application, but with that we share a lot of the iron in the back half of the machine with the wheel loaders. The structure is there for the application. We ensure it's also there specific for the front. Now one of the important aspects of wheel dozer, ensure you got good weight distribution and good ground pressure on all four tires. So with that, we put a lot of structure in the front frame to ensure that weight distribution is there proper for your application. With that, we got many wheel dozers, Kent, 834, 844, and an 854. With those, what's really the right size based on the application needs?
So you look at a couple of things. One of them you look at is the truck size that you're running in the operation. So when you start looking at an ultra class mine, you look at the 793, 794, 795 and up size trucks. You're typically going to be looking at the 844, 854 size machine. When you're down in that mid-size machine working with 60-20, 60-30, 60-40 size excavators and things like that, you could be down looking at the 834 size. So again, it depends on really the size of the trucks you're going to be working with and the size of the loading tools. Ground condition can also impact that machine as well, depending on the size and if you need compaction and things like that. One of the keys is, like when you're working on a truck dump, is you need to keep up with the trucks. So when you start looking at sizing the machine, is I know that within a couple of passes I'm going to have another truck coming in on me. So I want to make sure that I can get that material pushed off in time. Smaller machine may not have the capacity to do that type of cleanup work, and it's kind of the same in under a shovel. When you look at running on your haul roads and things like that, you look at the mobility of the machine and how am I going to be able to support cleanup and that type of stuff. So again, you don't want to get a machine that's so big that you're obstructing the other trucks running on the haul road. So again, you have to size all of those accordingly.
Okay. And you mentioned some of the size aspects. How about speed? Are there differences between the 854 down to the 834 and where it comes in?
No, they're all going to travel roughly at the same speed. So again, when you start looking at a track type tractor and just the slow travel speed of a track type tractor, this is where the wheel dozer is really going to have that advantage in these type of applications.
Okay. And with that, a lot of these machines have a lot of the same applications and experiences on a mine site. So relative to a track and a wheeled machine, are there big differences you want to look at a mine and how you apply those machines in there?
Yeah, so let's talk about a truck dump for a minute. So a truck dump, again, the key in a loading area and in a truck dump area is to move the trucks. So the truck's really what's ringing the cash register. I need to get them back as quick as I can to the loading tool. So when I'm working a truck dump, I want to make sure that I have enough capacity. But if I have a fully burdened truck dump, the track type tractor is going to deliver better value. Again, you don't need to be mobile with that tractor because it's going to stay on that dedicated dump throughout the day. Is where a wheel dozer is going to have an advantage is if I have 2 or 3 dumps scattered out around the property and I'm not fully utilizing those dumps today, but I need to maintain them all, that wheel dozer is going to get from spot to spot much quicker to go in and do that type of cleanup work. When you start looking at things like a haul road, motor graders are the best tool for a haul road. But I don't want to be picking the blade up on a motor grader to bring him over to a switchback or a change in the grade on the road to clean up a little bit of spillage that came from the truck. Get on the radio, call that wheel dozer. It's going to be extremely quick to get out and clean up that little bit of spillage, push it off to the side of the road, and then go support some of the other activities in the mine site.
Gotcha. Well, with that said, how about blade sizing on our machines? You know, there's a variety of blades, blade types, blade sizes.
Yeah.
What's kind of behind that?
So if you look at the horsepower and the tractive effort of a wheel dozer, The narrower the blade that you get, the more aggressive it's going to be. So you're going to have more horsepower per inch of cutting edge. The wider the blade you get, the less aggressive it's going to be. So if you look at a U blade and a semi-U blade, and then obviously the cold blade's a totally different application, when you start getting the wings on that blade, those wings are going to help retain that material. So if you're doing a lot of cleanup work and I'm coming through an area going to clean up underneath the shovel, it's going to take me less passes by having that big wide blade and having the wings on the front, which is actually going to help roll that material into the middle of the blade, and I'm not going to lose it out around my toes. If you have to get real aggressive with one, that narrower blade is going to allow better penetration to tear out some of that harder material, but it's not going to retain as much in front. You know, a good rule of thumb that I use is when you look at where you use a wheel dozer versus a track type tractor, if you're going to be pushing 70 to 110% blade load all the time, and you don't need a mobility, you need a track type. You need to be looking at a track type tractor. Sure. If I need mobility and I'm pushing 0 to that 70% blade load, and I need to be mobile, I need to be quick, I need to get out of the truck's way, then you want to be looking at something like the wheel dozer. Understood.
With that, in our industry today, well, and as always, but more so now, it's getting tougher and tougher out there for our customers. A lot of it is about efficiency, ensuring they reduce their costs, making them a most profitable mine as possible. With that, wheel dozers, track type dozers, in your experience with wheel dozers, what do you see as efficiency gains for these machines in a mining application? How can it benefit the customer and reduce their costs?
Yeah, so one of the things you have to look at first, and especially when it comes to a wheel dozer, because it's one of those, it appears to be one of those nice to have things. So when you look at it from a capital standpoint, it gets to be a fairly pricey machine. But as what I encourage people to do is take the cost of that machine and look at the value that it's adding. And I'll use truck exchange, for example. So let's say a 854 working under a 7495. That guy's goal is to come in and make 2 cleanup passes, just clean up where the tires are going to set from the truck and get out of the way. World-class truck exchange time, single-side loading with a rope shovel, which isn't the most efficient, but we're going to use that as an example, is I want to come in, I need to make the 2 passes, I've got to get out of the way. So you're not going to be able to do that with a track type tractor. You're going to be looking at a minute 10, a minute 15 seconds to do 1 cleanup pass. That wheel dozer can do it in about 30 seconds. I make 2 quick passes, I get the truck in, and I'm loading the truck again. So as what you have to do is you have to take that credit and the value that the wheel dozer is adding in exchanging out the trucks and give that credit right back to that wheel dozer. So if you looked at a mine that's averaging a 1-minute truck exchange time today and they're using a track type tractor, the wheel dozer is going to be quicker. If I can put the wheel dozer in there and reduce my truck exchange time to 40 seconds, that's 2 more trucks an hour. So pick a number and put that number on 2 more trucks an hour, carrying 250 ton each time, times 3 or 4 loading tools. At the end of the year, it's millions of dollars.
Wow.
So when you start off setting it in that way, it's really easy to justify the value of that wheel dozer.
So a huge financial benefit and the customer's benefit.
Absolutely.
With that, you talked about the efficiency of the production. Does it do anything to help relative to, let's say, tire life?
It definitely can, and again, we talked about that spillage on the haul road.
Yeah.
You know, most operators would, or well, let's say supervisors would call up on the radio and say, listen, we got a little bit of spillage, and they'd run a motor grader out. That motor grader could be 2 miles away,
yeah,
and now he's got to run all the way across the site. That wheel dozer can very quickly go out and clean up that area, and typically where you see this type of spillage is somewhere in the area of the loading tool. You know, that load hasn't quite settled yet, that first transition coming out of the pit, that truck hits that spot, makes a shift, the material spits out. One of the nice things about that wheel dozer, and there's a lot of instances where you can go out and you'll see one wheel dozer covering 2 or 3 shovels. So on the way from shovel number 1, I saw a little spillage on the ramp. I can brush that up real quick and go back in and go help out shovel number 2. So, you know, you get a good efficient operation and you get good operators in your diggers, you get very little spillage, so that guy has time to go out and do some of this additional support work. And obviously you get a tire off the road, chances are it's giving you some more tire life.
Excellent. So I hear a lot of mobility benefits, versatility of the product, a lot of efficiency gains for our customers, reducing their cost and putting more money in their pocket, making for a good profitable business. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Meet the Pros. For more information on Cat Wheel Dozers, please join us on cat.com.